A relatively quiet night tonight on NXT made the entire vibe a little different. We're going to talk about all of that, the matches that occurred tonight, as well as our new segment, Next in Line. Stay tuned!
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin!
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of AFTERBUZZ TV's NXT After Show exclusively on AFTERBUZZ TV. I am one of your hosts, the internet's Mark B. Donica. You can find me on Twitter at Mark B. Donica, joined as always by the one, the only, True Hobo.
One half of the Friendship Express, the United Wrestling Network Tag Team Champions. I'm without my belt right now. I promise you I did not lose it.
It's not in hock.
I am getting it shined.
Beautiful.
And polished. I'm having the leather on the actual belt. I'm having that redone so that it is a deeper, richer shade of red.
It's that champion's budget, right?
Absolutely.
You got a little bit more money
I
getting
actually
that
get
in?
a per diem to keep the belt looking good.
That's amazing.
It's nice.
Yeah.
If I can make it look good without making it, look good on the expensive, then the rest of that goes to me.
It sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Our good friend Bill Handstock is out on assignment again, but if you want to get a little bit more of him, find him on Uprocks, follow him on Twitter at Sundown Motel. Also, make sure to check out our CWC After Show. We did a quarterfinal review this past week. You all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah?
You know, that CWC, it's really the talk of the town.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
A whole lot of people are really interested in it.
Yeah, and hearing our opinions on it.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see that a show is doing that well.
Yeah, right?
Right.
It's arguably the most talked about thing in wrestling.
Yeah.
It's almost as if NXT is old hat at this point.
Like, why do we even have this show?
I have no idea what you're talking about. But yes, as planned, because this was the plan all along, we did a pre-show of the finale. So on Monday, myself, Ty Matthews, and Bill Handstock at Sundown Motel, we did a quarterfinal, semifinal, round 2, 3, and 4 review and lead up to the finale, which is tonight.
Right now.
It's now. If you're watching live, thank you for watching us live. And then on Thursday, tomorrow, we're going to be doing coverage of that event. So make sure to come in 8 p.m. tomorrow night, live, myself, Bill Handstock, Ty Matthews. We're going to be covering the finale of the CWC. But that's tomorrow. Tonight, NXT for September 14th. Very different type of show today.
Started off with a rather, an odd note turned
Very
into
odd.
a low note. Really unfortunate to see. Sort of like the setup. I saw it way before it happened. Samoa Joe comes out and he says, I feel bad about everything I did, liar. I really burned a lot of bridges and hurt a lot of people, and I feel bad about it,
He
liar.
said he felt bad about it, but he still stands by what he said.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if any of that was true. Because he
To say the least.
he challenges Shinsuke Nakamura to a rematch, which he's inclined to give him, contractually obligated to actually have that match.
Mm-hmm.
And they shake hands and part ways, and Nakamura goes to the top of the ramp, and Samoa Joe comes in and smashes him all over everything.
He beats the crap out of him, runs him into the stairs, and then takes off the top layer, gives him a Uranagi into the bottom layer of the steps, and leaves him for dead, essentially.
Yep.
Like, whatever, I don't care. And takes him out. We got William Regal to come out to check on him. Corey Graves left the commentary table to check on him.
Eerie silence on commentary.
A little too much.
Put over how very odd this was. And to start a show this way.
Yeah, because the tone carried throughout the evening.
Well, you can't shake that sort of thing.
No, but there's a way to, despite all of this, we still have action. Let's try to be as professionals. But like for something like that, for an injury, you got to leave that at the door. When it and I know, but that's professionalism. Michael Cole had to run Raw while Jerry Lawler was immediately recovering, essentially dying on the side of the stage at Raw, and waited until everything and continued to call the match as normal. In between a match, he said, "Hey, here's what's happening. We're gonna give you updates." Right back to the show.
Yeah.
As opposed to this, where in my honest opinion, this weighed down the entirety of the show until we got to No Way Jose and Bobby Roode.
It completely disrupted the entire show.
I agree.
The flow of the show was put off by the fact that Samoa Joe once again, just did what Samoa Joe wants to do without any regard for anyone else. And I really fear for Nakamura's well-being. He's holding that elbow, and he's got a history of problems with that elbow. So that may have actually postponed this matchup. Joe might have gotten what he wanted, but then set that back, which may be his plan all along, because he's admitted to not being 100%. So now he's put Nakamura at less than 100%. Now maybe he can recover faster, so that by the time Nakamura recovers, he's in better health than Nakamura is.
Just that much better.
Yeah.
Also, with the recent string of injuries that are putting competitors out for good and making people drop championships, maybe Joe is looking at that as a viable option for. So maybe he doesn't have to fight Shinsuke again. It could just be like, hey, I'm next in line. I get a rematch. It's my turn.
Yeah, looking at how, I guess, everything happened with the Universal Championship, I suppose he took a note from his friend, Seth Rollins, and went, well, what if I just, take him out of the equation?
Yeah.
Who else are they going to give the belt to? Because I'm next in line. Which is a great
not
lead
yet.
into our thing.
Not yet. We're going to talk about that later.
Yeah, that's not now. But I think Samoa Joe feels like he is better than absolutely everybody else other than Nakamura. So if you take out Nakamura, he is the most likely candidate to be champion.
By default, he's the best again.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And I have to agree with that assessment that he is the best. I don't think anybody else can really stand toe-to-toe with him in a singular one-on-one capacity.
Did you believe Joe, first of all, when he came out?
No.
And last week when he sort of had that weird tone about him.
Never.
No.
Do not trust anybody who has a sudden change of heart. The more sudden it is, the more likely it is to just be some kind of ruse. Always try and put some distance between yourself and your enemy, especially when they're suddenly saying, I'm unarmed. Why?
You've got two. I don't believe you.
Right.
Now, if Joe came in with both of his arms cut off and said, I'm unarmed,
Right.
he'd still probably beat the crap out of him with just his legs.
It's true. Black Knight him.
Yeah.
If he could.
He'll gnaw his legs off.
Yes.
Why not? It affected commentary somewhat. Regal was incensed. We came back from commercial.
He tried to chase a car.
Yeah, he was like, where is he? Like Batman style, world's greatest detective, just, hey, where'd he go? And he ends up in the back by the production truck, and a car blasts out of the arena and just rolls. Presumably Samoa Joe. I was pretty sure that it was Samoa Joe, and Regal is just livid.
Kind of don't blame him.
And you know what I would do if I were Regal? I would send Joe to the back of the line as punishment. Like, he is contractually obligated, but who has to sign the contract? Regal.
It's already been signed.
No, it has?
Well, technically, yeah, that one has. You get an obligated rematch after you lose your championship. That's in the writer.
For the writer of the title match contract?
Basically, yes.
Gotta
every
get the lawyer in there.
single title match contract has that as a writer.
Yeah.
There's no way you can really break it unless you break the guy, which Samoa Joe definitely tried to do.
Do you think this injury will keep Nakamura out until NXT Toronto? NXT Toronto, if you will.
That's not up to anybody. I mean, we really don't know. I can't assess the damage.
We got an update. We got updates throughout the show. One of which being that he had feeling in all of his extremities, which is a great sign.
Yeah, no, that's
the best possible thing. Who knows if there's damage that we'll find out later, but they said they were going to keep an eye on him in the future, and we'll probably receive an update next week.
Right.
Moving on from there, the first match of the night, having to follow that is a terrible thing that I wouldn't wish on anybody. But we have Liv Morgan versus Rachel Gazio, who, if I'm not mistaken...
Is it Gazio or Fazio?
Okay.
That was Fazio.
Fazio?
I
think that's too close to Fozzie Bear. But I think I think you're right. It's Fazio. I may have just mistyped.
Sorry.
Because it's not Rachel Ellering, but it's Rachel Ellering.
Yeah.
They renamed her.
Why?
I think because of the Authors of Pain Association.
Who cares?
The fans do.
Really?
Because now the announcers can just say Ellering, and people go, oh, the guy who manages the Authors of Pain.
He should manage his daughter.
And give her that rub, like with
Why not?
Akam and Razar.
Yes.
we'll talk more about them later. But this match, Liv Morgan versus Rachel. Let's just leave it at Rachel. The commentary was quiet. It was low. It was
somber.
It was all about Nakamura, and I couldn't get into this match.
Neither could the girls.
And it seemed like they were listening, because they were like, oh well, I guess whatever. Nothing matters because they're talking about Shinsuke Nakamura.
I think the girls had their minds on what just transpired, and then were sort of shuffled out quickly to go wrestle a match.
Go.
Like, well, hit the ring. But all right.
Nope. The crowd didn't seem to get into it either. From Liv, we got a jumping DDT into a seated guillotine for the win.
Yep.
Liv got on the mic, very oddly stating, "No, when people say no offense, it's usually going to be something offensive. So no offense, Rachel, but you just tapped the hell out."
That's stating a fact.
Yeah.
Like, you have to go with an opinion usually to insult somebody, but stating a fact is not offensive.
Yeah.
It's just a fact.
No offense, Rachel, but I think I don't think we brain. Sorry, I'm no offense to myself. No offense, Rachel, but I think I just sent you to the back of the line.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think all of this business with Nakamura, like you said, they were shaken, they got pushed out. Like, they were just like, I should probably say something about...
They probably said, you have to cut a promo. Well, no offense, but you lose.
It was interesting, to say the least. I don't think this did any favors for Liv. No. Very, very weird night.
Especially since she states, quite frankly, that she is the best possible competitor to face Asuka at this time. Which I disagree with.
What she says is she wants to fight, she wants the NXT Women's Championship, and she wants Asuka.
Okay.
Asuka's gonna kill her? like the fans say pretty frequently, pretty often.
Right.
Asuka's gonna kill her.
Gonna kill you.
Yeah, she's gonna kick her head straight up.
Well, that's sort of the unfortunate part about, having to face somebody who is absolutely undefeated.
Yeah.
Liv Morgan, who has a series of losses and is just now starting to get into her own sort of like flow of things. She's got a whole lot of possible detractors, which I think she should just come clean and be honest about. Say, like, I know I'm pretty much not the most likely candidate to beat Asuka, but let's face it, I've been on a hot streak. Yeah, I've been running on all cylinders, and I beat every competitor that I've met with really recently. So who else? And I think Ember Moon is probably going to come up in this conversation very shortly.
Sure. If you watched last week, she's who I consider to be next in line from that episode.
And, I mean, is Liv Morgan going to be your next in line this week?
Well, we'll get there at the end of the show.
Well, okay.
We got another promo from Sanity. No date on them yet, or it, or he, or her, or them.
Whatever it may be.
Whatever Sanity may be, we don't have it. Next,
you don't say.
Our next match, Drew Gulak from the CWC, man that you know pretty well, versus Hideo Itami. This match could have been on a takeover. I don't say that too lightly. I know that's a pretty heavy thing to say, but I think if it were on, not this specific match, but if you go, we need Itami to go over somebody pretty spectacular in a big fashion to show that they're here in a big way. Who can we give 15 minutes to 20 minutes? Let's put Drew Gulak in there. If they got a takeover slot, this would be remarkable. This is an amazing match for TV. What did you think about it?
I don't know what public perception is of Drew Gulak, but when I look at him, I see a guy who goes into every match thinking that he's absolutely going to make a mark on his opponent. In almost a literal sense, he will leave his opponent in a different state than when he first encounters him.
And whoever decided to put him against somebody with a restructured shoulder
like that
is a mad genius.
Yeah.
I mean, he comes in dressed kind of like an old-timey doctor. But aside from that... Not of economics, don't worry. But despite all of that, he put a clinic on Hideo Itami.
And it was an absolute clash of two different styles. I
Yes.
mean, Drew knows how to really tear a man apart. He understands how to do that. And his strikes aren't as fancy, let's say. But when he hits you as hard as he can.
Sure.
And he sure as heck did that with Hideo Itami,
Yeah.
who returned the favor.
Not as hard though. So
Tried.
he started out with some straight, where they both started with some straight Greco-Roman style grappling, but Gulak came into this match to make a statement, and we said that before commentary did. But they came to make a statement with the hardest slap ever
He's got
to Hideo
hands.
Itami.
He's got hands like
Does
that.
he have hands?
But they're like huge. Like he's, there's like old timey wrestlers. You see them as like just grizzled, ugly bastards. That's Drew Gulak. Yeah,
With giant hands.
yeah, with just these monstrous hands.
Gulak kept bringing the speed down too.
Control. It's
yeah.
all about control.
But he slapped Hideo one too many times. And that's what Itami's...
Hideo just was not gonna put up with any of that crap.
No, he fired back at him with strike after strike after strike after
just
strike
popping him. Oh man.
until it was time to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Drew did not fare very well
Oh.
at the end. But throughout, I was like, can Drew Gulak be in more? Just everything? Like, I mean, we come with a little bit of a bias
Little.
because
Yeah.
if folks don't know, what is your history with Drew Gulak?
I've trained with Drew Gulak. I've worked with Drew Gulak. I know Drew very well. I would say many people, including myself, would call him like a coach. Like he's this guy who tries to make everybody around him better, try to bring people up to his level, because he's there, and it's not just the opinion of fans, but the opinion of other wrestlers who know the best, and he is one of the best. Period.
He was he down in Texas for WrestleMania for all of
Yes.
the action that was there?
Yes.
Do you know what he was doing down there?
Oh, it's really hard. That whole weekend is a monstrous blur.
Yeah, a lot happened on your end. I barely saw you,
Yeah.
despite living together and getting a car.
But
like,
he was there. He ran the Evolve tryout.
Oh, there you
I'm
go.
an idiot. Yeah, he ran the Evolve tryout. And I was there for Regal and Bloom and Canyon, all saying unanimously what high regard they have for him. So take that as you will.
And we saw how far he got in the Cruiserweight Classic. If you want to hear our analysis on that again, go back. It should be available on all of our audio feeds. If you're an audio listener, please check out the Cruiserweight Classic rounds 2 through 4 rundown. We talk about the Gulak and Sabre match, as well as his previous match before that round.
Yeah.
Absolutely love Drew Gulak, and I hope that he's not been announced for the Cruiserweight division yet, but I hope he's somebody that, now that the WWE audience knows him, they bring him in for NXT things here and there,
Sure.
like they started to with
Yeah.
Ciampa and Gargano.
I don't know. I haven't talked to him on the matter, but honestly, with or without the contract, he's still one of the most talented individuals
I agree.
in the game today.
I totally
So,
agree, and not to give away too much of what we talk about on the CWC show, but I do not think Zack Sabre Jr. out-wrestled him at all.
Yeah.
I think he got lucky. But if there is one thing that Drew Gulak is, it's entertaining. And in the dramatic history of television, it's never been so funny, so dramatic, or so good. Think about all the shows that have been on this season. There's House of Cards, Modern Family, Downton Abbey, Game of Thrones, Blackish. That's doing really well on ABC. Homeland, Better Call Saul, Veep, Transparent, Silicon Valley, Mr. Robot, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Really, this is television's golden age right now. There hasn't been TV this good consistently in quite some time.
I guess so.
So on Sunday, September 18th, television's greatest night is the biggest live event of the year. You can watch the show that celebrates great television, the Emmy Awards. There is no better night to watch the best of the best face off and see if your favorite shows win. It's like WWE, but with rich people on a red carpet.
They're still gonna hit each other with chairs, though. Right?
Presumably. And those big gold statues great weapons.
Those are heavy.
They're pretty
the
heavy.
Base of those.
Yeah.
Like, I've held them.
See what sort of kicks off at the Emmys. They are this Sunday, September 18th. It's television's greatest night. So be there. One of the funniest men on television, and I totally agree. Jimmy Kimmel is going to be hosting the Emmys, and he's one of the few guys that can really host a show well. And make it naturally funny. So join Jimmy Kimmel, join us as we watch the Emmys live Sunday, September 18th, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on ABC. I'm actually, there is a lot of good TV, and I'm interested to see who takes the crown this Sunday at the Emmys. Shining Wizard to Jimmy Kimmel. Sorry.
We can only hope.
We can only hope. We come back, and we finally get names for the authors of Pain.
Holy smokes!
We get Akam and Rezar, which, if you look at that on paper, looks like Akam's razor, which is a joke. It's pretty good.
That's a science joke.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
You should probably Google that if you don't know what that means.
Yeah.
So they're on the other side of the ring, Doug Sessa and Chris Payne. I presume P-A-N-E, because he shattered like a pane of glass.
Yep.
That poor lad. No chance whatsoever by the other team.
God, yeah.
And
It's just unfortunate.
Ultimate Destruction, I would say, grabbing faces, tearing faces off.
Grabbing faces.
Face off. Face off.
Face.
Face Off, like that great movie with those two actors who no one can remember. That's not true. It's Nick Cage and John Travolta.
Take your face off, kid.
I'm gonna take your face off. I'm Arkham. This is Razor. So we say it over and over again. They win with their finisher, which is the clothesline side Russian leg sweep.
Yeah.
Does that work for you? It does
Still,
not.
no.
See, like the cheersing power bombs are amazing. That should be it.
Yeah.
But this one, the one that they're actually using as their finisher, I'm not digging it.
It's just because of where the arm ends up. Like, in order to have like a really tight side Russian leg sweep, you almost have to be like your heads right next to each other. And when you're throwing a clothesline, your arm is going across the guy's chest, and your hand is ending up right here. Which is right where your partner's face would be. So you're essentially punching your partner in the face.
But that kind of shows how much of a badass each one is, because it's like, I'm going to punch my partner in the face, and they're not going to care. And he's like, yeah, punch me in the face!
Ah!
It's probably Razor that gets punched in the face, just presuming.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a name for it yet? Do you think there's a name for that? Graves said human guillotine.
No.
No? Okay.
No.
I mean, you could just call it Occam's razor.
You could just call it.
Then people go, oh, I get it. If they don't yet. But what do you think we're going to see from the Authors of Pain moving forward?
Whatever they want. If they want to go.
All right, that's
for the
it.
championships, like, who's going to stop them?
The Revival.
If they want to. Come on. That'd put the Revival in a very bad position.
I don't think so. I think the Revival can get out of any pickle that they try to. And that's not just because I spilled dill all over myself.
I don't know if they can actually deliver the shatter machine to one of these guys.
You can just drop them.
It's 300 pounds.
Yeah, but instead of lifting, just do a trip.
Still, that's 300 pounds of pressure on the
your
man
knees.
receiving the other man. Which would be... Which one of them is always on the...
I think it's Dawson. Dawson is the one that gives the knees.
No, Wilder gives the knees.
Wilder gives the knees,
Yes,
that's right.
Wilder
Okay.
gives the knees. So that would be 300 pounds on top of Dash Wilder, which would break him. If that did not win the match would be over soon after that, because they're down to one man, Scott Dawson, who
Great, he can cheat to win.
against two different giants.
Yeah, sure.
I
wanna
like
see
the
it.
Revival. They're very smart, but I don't know if they're that smart. They might just cheat and win the match by disqualification, but that would
be new.
That would put them into like a downward spiral, because something would happen where they'd get into a match stipulation that would not favor them, like a cage match.
Oh, no,
and then-
I think the opposite. I think that's the very reason why I think it'll work, is because people will go, here are these two giant guys with an additional stipulation in their favor. Then the Revival are going to come out of it and keep cementing them. They're going to start plating themselves in various metals, gold-plated, silver-plated, platinum-plated, diamond-plated, in being the greatest tag team in NXT history.
Diamond's not a medal.
You're not an MEDAL.
Oh, meddling.
Yeah, the other
kids.
ones are metal. Then metal, METTLE, spelling bee.
Winner!
Yeah, I did it! In the back. We have Ty Dillinger talking about how the summer was not the best for him, but he always has been.
He lost to a Lorcan. Oh, such a low point in his career!
Oni Lorcan, who's still reinventing himself, but had time to be at the CWC to face Cedric Alexander in a web-exclusive match.
Yeah.
That was weird. But it was a good match, but it was just interesting.
Was he still a Lorcan?
He was still a Lorcan.
Still a Lorcan.
Even though...
He's a Lorcan in the back somewhere.
When I downloaded the images to use for graphics, it still says Chris Gerard on his link instead of his actual name.
His Twitter tag is still... like Biff or something.
No. It's Star Destroyer.
Oh,
it's still that.
The guy, he needs.
But the important thing about this is Ty Dillinger is back in a big way. He always has been and always will be a perfect 10.
Perfect 10.
Yes. And then our main event of the evening: No Way Jose versus Bobby Roode. What did you think of this match at the start?
It felt good. I think the whole match, like you said, the show actually started to feel like a regular show once the main event hit. Like, that was like, okay. It almost felt like we could start the show then.
Which I figured they would. I think either the Authors of Pain match, because that sort of shocked everybody back into, oh my, like, not thinking about everything else.
Yeah.
Could have been a good way to start the match, and then you put the women's match in between, and then you put Gulak and Itami, and...
Yeah.
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 It's an interestingly structured show, like has been at WWE events recently. But I think Bobby Roode spent the top of the match not thinking everything of Jose. He was just looking down upon him, making light of him.
That is the story of his existence.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think much of anybody except myself. So I'm going to wrestle...
Maybe Austin Aries.
Maybe.
We'll find out. I mean, he's the greatest man that ever lived.
Right.
Nobody can pull off that cape but Austin Aries.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But once Jose took it into high gear, he showed how dangerous he could be.
He's got hands. Like, the man throws hands.
So this is the second man on the roster that has hands.
Yes.
Yes.
And he uses them.
But do you have eyes?
I have them.
Okay.
I use them to see if people have hands or not.
Perfect. That's a real old callback to the Kathy Kelly days. Please go back and watch them, like I do every night and cry. Anyway, but I think the thing about No Way Jose is once he started to try to get into his regular fun-loving groove, he got cut off right away. Like just like Rude did, he was like, no, I'm in control. I'm gonna take this guy lightly. I mean, he didn't say that. That would be weird.
Well, yeah,
but
right.
he thought it. That's probably how it went. And he started taking Rude a little bit lightly, and that's when Rude came back, hit him with the glorious impact, or which would be funny if they called it that. But the Impaler DDT for the win.
Yeah.
But he gave the big glorious thing. He's like, oh, is he going to spin him around and give him the pump handle? No. Looks like we're done with the pump handle.
Well, it's an alternate. Now we know he can beat people with the pump handle. He can beat them with the Impaler DDT.
Do you think we're going to see it again?
Who's to say? Mm-hmm. All I know is what he is now capable of doing. He's capable of beating people with the pump handle and the Impaler, which means you have to keep an eye out for both of those maneuvers because both of those are going to take you out if you're wrestling him.
Okay.
So you have to be conscious of those. It's like wrestling Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho can finish you with a number of different moves, so you constantly have to keep an eye out for what he's about to do next if you're wrestling him, because anything that he could do could beat you. Or you could lose. So you have to be conscious of everything that's going to happen.
That's fair.
And now I know, we all know that if it's the pump handle, he can beat you. If it's the Impaler, he can beat you. So if anybody's wrestling him, that's what you have to watch out for.
We've got choices.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, that was the show. Again, very strangely structured from the injury of Shinsuke Nakamura at the top. Sort of affected how the rest of the show felt. It felt shorter because the top segment was like 15 minutes, 20 minutes?
20 minutes.
It was long.
What?
And then Liv and Rachel went pretty short. Drew and Hideo went an okay length. Authors of Pain and Sessa and Pain went very, very short. And then a pretty good length for Jose and Rude.
Yeah.
Interesting, a lot of backstage stuff. We just got Ty and Regal looking for Joe.
Right.
There is no news and gossip this week, but we introduced it last week, and we're going to talk about it again. It's time for our new segment. Next in Line, where we talk about who from tonight's show is next in line for a big push, a new opportunity, something in the Full Sail arena. Now, Hobo, I have some guesses as to who yours might be, but who are we talking about? Who do you think is next in line?
Next in line, I'm looking for the individuals tonight who made sure that their impact was felt, who left a mark in the ring or on their opponents or on my mind. And truly, tonight that was Drew Gulak. Despite a loss to Hideo Itami, nobody looks meaner in that ring than Drew Gulak. Nobody looks like they are as ready to bring it as Drew Gulak. Because tonight he was facing Hideo Itami, who is, in a one way or another, a living legend. Granted, he's been on the show for a while and he's hurt, but so many people would go into that match looking up to Hideo Itami, going, oh, I'm about to wrestle a guy who's so much farther ahead than I am, so to speak. Drew Gulak goes into that ring looking at Hideo Itami as if he is a roach about to be crushed. He sees them as simply something that he is going to knock over. Despite whatever Itami's able to bring, he does not feel respect or remorse for anybody. He will tear you apart and he will enjoy every minute of it because that's how much he thinks of everyone.
What do you think's next for Drew Gulak?
I don't know, and that's part of why I was a little bit reluctant to put him on this list. He is not a contracted individual as of yet.
As we know.
Right. Great showing at the CWC, but where he goes, I don't know, and that's sort of why I was reluctant, but truly, nobody was more impactful on this episode tonight than he.
While I do agree with you, I have a different pick of my own. He may not have actually competed on tonight's episode, but as we have seen from Back to Brooklyn or the show just after Back to Brooklyn, Ty Dillinger, the perfect 10, I feel, is next in line. This guy is the wrestler's wrestler. We have heard about him for years saying, just wait until you see Ty Dillinger. We've been seeing him for the past year throughout Brooklyn. We saw him at Brooklyn last year live. We saw him at Brooklyn this year. He's added the new cape to his pay-per-view look, and it looks amazing. And his entire thing, everybody seems to get it. Everybody understands. I think now is the time when he's going to kick it into high gear. We're going to start seeing him rate more people. We saw him rate Kathy. We saw him rate Alex. We saw him rate countless people. And I think it's only going to continue. And I think we've seen him wrestled the current NXT champion, Shinsuke Nakamura, and he held his own, and it was one of the more entertaining matches that Nakamura has had in NXT, aside from a TakeOver.
And a lot of people were saying that they wanted to see that play out longer, that they wanted to see Dillinger versus Nakamura on more occasions.
On a live event this past weekend, there was a 6-person tag team match. On one side, Asuka, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Ty Dillinger.
Really?
And I'd say if we have Ty Dillinger and Shinsuke Nakamura team up more, I have the perfect tag team name for them. Blackjack. Because Ty Dillinger is a perfect 10, but Shinsuke Nakamura is an 11. And that's a tag team name you can bank on. Mark? Thanks, Mark. I had to do it. So yes, let us know who you think is next in line using the hashtag NXTINLINE. Let us know on social media. Tag also the NX team. But you can get to us on Twitter directly. Before we sign off, I do want to mention, please do us a favor, go to iTunes, leave us some reviews, some 5-star ratings, because the other stars don't work, of course, so that we can read them on air. And don't think we forgot about our contest for the Boom Comics exclusive cover. We're changing the rules. Nobody's been doing the glorious bomb, so we're gonna do something related to WWE 2K17 when it comes out. So that contest has been put on hold. We want to give this thing away. Let us give you things.
Why won't you just let us give you things?
Why not? That's what I see. I just asked that question.
Don't you want us to have your address?
Just want to see how long we can hold it. But make sure you like us on iTunes. Leave us a review. All you have to do is search up NXT on the podcast charts, and we're going to be one of the first ones that pop up. So please leave us a review. Leave us a comment down below. We love responding to you, and
we love engaging our audience.
We really do.
Let's say that.
Truly. And you can engage with us on Twitter every day of every week at the following address. Hobo, where can the folks find you on Twitter, and what do you have coming up?
You can find me on Twitter at TrueHobo.
Oh, yeah?
That is my Twitter handle, and I think it's quite fitting.
I think so. You are the true hobo.
It's very true. This Saturday, we have Championship Wrestling from Arizona. The very first show for Championship Wrestling from Arizona at the Desert Diamond Casino in Tucson.
All the way out to Tucson,
awesome.
huh?
All the way out to Tucson. Friendship Express are going to be there.
Title match, or are you just making an appearance?
Maybe.
Maybe.
And then Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Next taping is 9/25. That's September the 25th. And I believe we are wrestling the Classic Connection on that episode.
It wasn't for the milestone?
We were not able to be in the same place at the same time for Milestone.
That's unfortunate.
None of us were able to make an appearance on that show. It's a booking error, no more than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing to look into.
No,
you
no,
guys
no.
aren't afraid of the Classic Connection, are you?
Why would we?
Well, I have beaten you.
Beaten.
I mean, it's a W in the record book.
You know what? Jervis got disqualified, got us disqualified in the last match. But that does not mean we were beaten. That only means we failed to win.
So you lost.
No.
Okay.
There's a difference.
All right. If you want to get into semantic arguments with the Hobo, please follow him at True Hobo.
And watch Championship Wrestling from Hollywood on Fight TV.
And also, if you want to support him, you want to support us, you go to nxteam.spreadshirt.com. That's where you can get that fancy shirt with all of us on the NX team riding a bull with cupcakes in the background. Guess the symbolism! So make sure, go to nxteam.spreadshirt.com. We've got stuff for me, we got stuff for Bill, we got stuff for Hobo, we got stuff for all of us, we got stuff that doesn't even have any branding on it, but I love all of the designs that we've done. And we've got a lot going on at the studio, so make sure you go follow The Real X-Pac, because we have X-Pac 12360, which is a weekly podcast hosted by Sean Wallman, hosted by X-Pac himself, talking to your favorites from the wrestling world. It's getting bigger. It's getting a lot of traction. We were number one we were on the podcast list. I need to double check what number we were on, but the first episode listed really high because we had Scott Hall, we had Billy Gunn. Today's episode was just incredible. He has a lot to say about Paul Heyman, so please go take a listen to it. It was a very interesting conversation, and we've got great guests coming up. I don't know if I can announce who we have next week, but NXT fans will be very interested to see that show next week. Make sure to follow Sean at The Real X-Pac, because that's where all of the updates are going to go through. Also, Christy Olsen at Christy Reports, and Jimbo in the Booth. At Jimbo in the Booth is everybody responsible for the show, and I'm slowly starting to make my way onto the show as well. So follow me on Twitter at Donica for intro on that. We have a new episode of the Gimmick Podcast that is out, so make sure to...
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So go to the Gimmick Pod and follow on iTunes at Wrestling Viewpoint Network, where you can listen to our new
It's a
episode
very
with myself.
honest episode.
It's a very good episode. Yeah, did you listen to it?
I did.
Yeah, so it was myself and friend of the show, Brandon Taylor. Go take a listen. Again, nxteam.spreadshirt.com. Mark B. Donica. Follow all of us here at AfterBuzz TV. Leave a comment, leave a rating, please subscribe, and we will see you on the next glorious episode.
Bye-bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
We're going to buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.